Hey guys, so decided to have a bit of a rant and ramble about the latest patch to come out of Elder Scrolls Online. Now, I know some people are going to be for this, against it. Other people are just going to make trollish arguments on why it doesn't matter. But this has been something that's been bothering me for a while, not in specifically relating to Elder Scrolls Online, but in other games, especially Blizzard games, where I find that digital purchases are becoming far more expensive than what you're actually getting out of it. It's one thing for game pricing to charge. It's another thing for microtransactions to be there. I'm a fan of microtransactions. I believe that they're fine. I have no issue adding them to games, but there is a value that you need to place on them. You need to think about what you're selling and what it compares to what else is in the market and how much exactly you're charging. So when I logged into Elder Scrolls Online this morning to check out Homestead patch and found how much they were charging for housing on the store, I was shocked and I guess not particularly surprised. I know that's a bit of a contradiction, but people were estimating that the houses, well, sorry, not estimating, people were joking, fearfully joking, that the housing would cost in the realm of 15,000 crowns. And I didn't expect that, but we did sort of expect it to be somewhat high given the Elk Mount, which was 4,500 crowns. So when I checked one of the more expensive houses and saw it at 11,000, I was immediately floored. To put that in perspective, for those who don't know how the crown system works, you buy crowns in four different packages, and to get to 11,000 crowns requires two purchases of the highest tier at 5,500. For an Australian like myself, that is 40 Australian dollars. That means to get the second most expensive house in the game is $80. It's quite high. Now, bear in mind that's an empty house. You still have to buy the things to put in it, not necessarily with real money. You can do it with in-game gold, crafting and things like that. That's all fine, but to just buy the space to walk around in is 80 Australian dollars. Now, to give you even further perspective on what that is worth in Australian, might not be Australians listening to this, I can go right now and pre-order For Honor for $79.95. I can pre-order Ghost Recon Wildlands for $79.95. Mass Effect Andromeda for $89.99. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare I can buy for $78.16, and I can buy the expansion to this goddamn game, Morrowind, for $59.95. Do not fucking tell me that one empty house is the value of any one of those fucking games. There is no way in hell that house has more value empty than their next expansion. That is patently ridiculous. This price is way too high. Now, when I initially saw it, look, it was 3:30 in the morning. I was getting ready for work, and I'm not the best in the morning, so I thought I'd go to work, get work out of the way, and come home and think about it and crunch the numbers a little bit. So what I did was I broke down the averages and the maxes on all the houses to see what real world value they were attaching to their housings specifically. Now, I would like to point out that you can't necessarily answer that question 100% because one, people who subscribe do get crowns for free each month. Then you've also got people who bought crowns on sale, which I believe they've had two sales over the years. Some people will have them built up, and then also you can buy it within gold. But this is not about buying it within gold currency. This is about what real world value you attach to a digital product that isn't adding a lot. There is an ethical responsibility there to charge the correct amount. This is almost as bad as when Eve charged for the monocle. Now, granted, it's not that bad, but it's still up there. So what we did was I took an average of how much one crown costs basically across all the different packages, because the higher the package you go, so going all the way to the 5,500 for $40, that's the best value for crowns. But getting the exact amount of crowns for the house you need is going to be very difficult. Very few of them are going to break down as evenly as the 11,000 crown house. So I then took not only the average crown cost, but also the best possible crown cost. Chances are it'll sit somewhere between the two in real world value, with people who have an excess of crowns obviously being lower because they've been subscribed for a long time or benefited from sales. But here's what I want to show you. So in the background now, you'll be seeing the Ebonheart Chateau, which is the most expensive house in the game. It's 12,000 crowns. Now, on the average purchase cost for this in real world value. This is $108 in Australian. Okay, sorry guys, I don't have it broken down into USD or Euro. It's Australian for me. $108 Australian. Bear in mind, recommended retail price for a brand new AAA title is $89.95. So 108 for an empty fucking space. That's the average. The best possible price you can get it for, as far as if every crown worked out perfectly, would be $86.40. Now, this lovely estate that you're seeing now, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, the Goriner estate, this is $50.40 on the average, $40.32 on the best possible value. I'm not saying it. We've also got this one here being the House of Silent Magnifico, which has an awesome name but no outside area. That comes in at $36.90 on the average and $29.52 on the best value. I'm not seeing the value there. Like, it's an empty... And this last and final one, while it's utterly adorable and quite cute, this is a low range house, low to mid range house. This is still $23.40 on the average and $18.72 on the best value. These are not good numbers. These are very high for what you're getting. Once again, remember, I can buy the expansion to this game for $59.95. I can buy the original game plus the expansion for, I think, $89.99 again. So why on earth are they charging this sort of pricing for just an empty space? It's upsetting because for a player like myself, so I know a lot of people will sit here and say, hey, you don't have to buy it so they can charge what they want. No, that's not a valid argument. That's not how it works. Everything has a value. That value has a basis in many factors. You go buy a house in the real world. I'm not saying this is the real world, but you go buy anything in the real world. It is determined by a lot of factors: how old it is, where it's located, the neighbours, the town you're in, distance to hospitals, like distance to schools. There's a lot of factors. Now, obviously, this is different in an online area, but then you have comparative purchases. One of those comparisons are other games. Elder Scrolls Online wants you to play their game. They put this in. They go, here's the value, except I can go buy a whole other game, go play that other game for hours on end, and you want to tell me that's worth more. Now, you might look at the others and go, well, For Honor's not that great, or Call of Duty is boring as fuck, everyone hates it. Okay, fair enough, but you know what's on that list that I did see? Mass Effect Andromeda, and don't fucking dare tell me there is more effort put into this one house than Mass Effect Andromeda. Okay? That game will no doubt keep me amused for hundreds of hours like its predecessors did. So, I don't see the value here on why they're charging this much. I'm not saying they should charge nothing for it. Obviously, it's an item, they worked on it, they need to make money. But on the top end of 11,000, that's almost double where I would have expected to. It actually is double where I would have expected it to. On the most expensive house, I expected to be somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 crowns. Some people might say that's cheap, and in comparison to what they charged for their elk mount on the 4500, I would agree, but I would also say the elk was too expensive. That was way overpriced. They should never have charged that to begin with. Now, there's not a hell of a lot that can be done here. ZOS is not going to change their pricing, we know that. For me, it's disappointing because I was so excited for housing. I do love housing in every game. And from everything I'd seen, it was looking to be possibly the second best housing system we'd seen, with WildStar easily still being the first. But I spent countless hours in that game, lots of money in that game on the housing. I've spent lots of money in Star Wars Old Republic on housing, and I always enjoy these factors. This is where I get a lot of enjoyment, especially the way they implemented it with achievements factoring in and all that. Great. The thing about the housing system they were putting in was it was meant to be a grind and a gold sink. It was meant to be something for players to do in their off time and a place for them to spend all that money that they'd been earning and had nothing to buy to date. People running around with 15 to 20 million now have something to spend it on. I sympathise with that. But for players like myself, I don't get a hell of a lot of time to dedicate to this game. And that's not knocking everyone else who does get more time. It's just me identifying my position. I work in a particularly stressful job, especially at the moment. I'm not dealing with it particularly well. So when I come home, I like to do a few things. I either go quest, I go do a bit of farming, or I go PvP. None of those three things are particularly great at making a lot of money. I do not want to stand around my guild vendor selling things. It's never been my style of play. And look, that's on me, guys. I understand that. So I compensate for this with in games by being able to purchase things. If I can pay real world money to make up for it, I will. That doesn't bother me. I'm happy to spend money in the game. It's just this amount of money is too high. Way too high in comparison to other things you can get out there in the market. Now, this is even more sad again because I now have the dilemma of what do I do? I am subscribed to ESO again. I have been for the last couple months, and I had every intention of staying subscribed because I was having so much fun. And they just announced their new expansion, which looks amazing. I cannot wait to play the Warden. It's taken people back to Morrowind, which I know they love. It wasn't my favourite game, but I'm still excited to go there. I have no interest whatsoever in the battlegrounds. I actually wish they didn't add them, but I know experienced players like Deltia had been begging for that, and I would dare say that he would know a hell of a lot more about what this game needs than I would, as he's more tuned into the community. So, hey, kudos there to Zos on listening. But the only other thing that I would have really wanted out of an expansion was probably more weapons to unlock. I would have liked to have seen spears and flails and all sorts of crazy things. But you take what you can get. The Warden is the number one thing I was looking forward to, and I'm so excited by it. I really wanted to play it, and now I'm honestly sitting here going, should I cancel my subscription? Should I possibly not buy this expansion? And I know that might sound excessive, but as I said, this game is something I enjoy in my free time. I like being able to play it at my pace, enjoy it at my pace, sorry, and just relax. I don't want to have to spend the price of a AAA title just to get a kind of semi-nice house, especially now with indie games being so amazing and available on Steam. Like I can go buy so many games for the price of the cheap house, the $23.41, and somehow they think that this little space is worth it. I don't get it. From a consumer point of view, I've never been the type of person who says, "Oh, boycott this game company because they're overcharging." I'm not one of those people who has a problem with the pre-order bonus. I actually accept the pre-order bonus as a necessary evil of business. The whole idea of a pre-order bonus is to be so tempting that you pre-order, thus giving them money early. If When people rage about a pre-order bonus being too good that they have to buy it, hey, that's a successful pre-order bonus. That's my opinion on that. You can argue whether or not it's ethical or whether I agree with Total Biscuit in the sense that it's leading to some standards dropping as far as games releasing promising things and not living up to standard. But they've already got their money and so they've cut and run. Completely get that. Companies need to be held accountable for that. But there's also a lot of cases where this isn't the truth. Total War comes to mind, especially Total War Warhammer recently. So I'm not adverse to spending money. I'm happy to do that. It's just at some point I have to sit here and go, is there any future for me in this game? Because the number one thing you just announced to draw me back in, I now can't participate in. You actually made it financially unviable for me to do it. And while people could say, hey, go farm and do it, as I said, I'm never going to make that sort of money. It's not going to happen. And for those who would then once again say, well, that's your fault. Yes, it is. I'm not arguing that things in-game should be easier. What I am saying is that the digital value of what they're charging is excessive when compared to a brand new product, which is their competition. When you're competing for what people spend money on, the standard is a brand new game, moving on to something else, and they're charging more than that for nothing more than a blank empty space that will still cost you time, money and effort to fill up. I don't know what to do. A little bit confused. As I said, I think Zos is going to keep things the way it is, mostly because of the situation they're in. They're happy to survive on what they've got. There's no risk here for them. The only people they're going to piss off most likely is players like myself who are sort of in limbo between games, and I don't think they particularly care about keeping my business. I think they've made that pretty abundantly clear. They're really into keeping their dedicated fan base, and I can't fault them for that. Their dedicated players are what kept them going. The other thing I will say about as far as ethics go, I do think they're doing a cash grab on a popular IP. If this was not Elder Scrolls, you could not charge those prices. They're getting a lot of fanboys who are playing this game purely for the IP, and because of that, you can charge a higher price, or you think you can charge a higher price. Blizzard does the same goddamn thing. Blizzard does it worse. It's the only company at the moment that I will hate on more than what they've decided to do this very moment. Now, I don't know where to go from here, guys. I think I've got my point out to the best of my ability. People will either agree or disagree, and people will troll, no doubt, and say, "Hey, it's my own fault." Once again, I get that, but I don't think anyone can really argue that there is a real-world value on digital products, and ZOS have exceeded that. I think they've done so quite blatantly, and I think it's a bit of a slap in the face to their player base. I think I think this is a case of one step forward, two steps back, or even two steps forward, two steps back. They came off the hype of One Homestead being announced and everyone being excited, Morrowind being announced and everyone excited, and then this, and the amount of people I have seen disappointed is evidence of what's going on. A lot of other people who don't particularly care are going to be excited and happy and move on. Like, while I could see a few people completely disagreeing with me, I would ask that the players in a more beneficial position in this game try and look at it from someone else's perspective. A lot of people don't get those benefits, and it's it's very difficult to get so excited for a game that you're enjoying so much, only to be shot down, not because of quality, not because of a lack of effort from the devs, but simply because something was priced too high. Well, that's my rant on this, guys. It probably went a bit longer than I wanted it to, and if you listened this far, thank you very much. Please insult me in the comments like everyone will, and hopefully I'll see you all in Tamriel. Have a good night. Bye.